Uh, Questions and answers. Welcome to Happy Suffer. This is episode 338 of I Happy Suffer. Questions.
And I'm answers.
Katie and I put together a very quick Q&A episode in like 2 days because we weren't going to record this week, and I was like, well, let's just do like something because due to like some scheduling conflicts with like Kit going out of town for something, so here we are. We're going to A those cues.
Yeah, I have to say, Kid is a little bit too busy having a life for me
Yeah, for
recently.
real. Come on, man. It's more
Yeah,
important doing stuff or talking about Bigfoot movies.
I for one am offended.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, we were gonna do Suburban Sasquatch, but I kind of want to put that on the back burner for a week when Kid gets back because we got to do dinosaurs in a mining facility.
Can't even
Uh,
fathom what that is.
Kid's gonna love it. I don't know how you'll feel. I think you'll at least think it's funny, but I think it might aggravate you a little bit. But we'll see.
That's
I've
fair.
I've become kind of friends with the director after I posted about watching it, and they actually wrote in one of the questions on this, and I've I watched that movie very high one morning after work, and it rocks. It's so good. It's one of the movies that like like that we'll cover that we're like, no, this isn't good, but they know what they're doing. Like
Sure.
the CGI dinosaurs in it are so insane that like no one could actively really take it seriously. And like if you are taking it seriously, that's your problem. It's fun, and like people are constantly being like, "What do you mean? There's dinosaurs in the mining facility?" Like it's the title gets said so many times in it that like Caitlin was like, "If you make a drinking game out of this, you will die 20 minutes
Yeah.
into this movie."
Well, as you know, one of my favorite things is
Mining
when
facilities.
is mining facilities, particularly when there's children inside, and also when movies say the title of
That's
the
a
movie.
well,
So,
this one does it a lot,
all right, great,
and it's like 70 minutes long.
perfect.
Um, all right, let's do some questions. Uh, we're gonna open with a soda talk question.
So to talk, so to talk.
So we got three questions from Parker. Cause some of these are questions that we were gonna do a Q&A episode like months ago that I still
Right.
had in my notes app. So we're gonna answer those two. Opinions on strawberry flavored soda.
Um, I it's fine. I surprisingly, I try a lot of soda on the show, obviously, but I don't really drink soda that much. And I specifically don't really drink like when I hear strawberry soda, I think of like Fanta or something like that, like an orange soda kind of
Right.
thing, which I do not like. Like I just don't drink it. I like strawberry as a flavor, like artificial and real strawberry, so I'm gonna say opinion is it's fine.
I
Like I like Ramune, strawberry Ramune, which is like not carbonated and it's good,
I
but
it's not
well, it's carbonated, but
strawberry soda isn't something that I actively like
yeah,
seek
yeah,
out. But like I when I was a kid, we used to go to Frisch's a lot, and they had they that was the first place I remember going that would do like you could get like Coke with like strawberry syrup in it or like chocolate syrup in it or great or whatever you can get
yeah,
like those.
sure.
And I used to get the strawberry one all the time, and it was so good. So like every once in a while, like if it pops up, or I would get like I don't know if like Fago's Red Pop is necessarily supposed to be strawberry, but it always seemed like it was to me.
Yeah, that was kind of like the vibe I meant when I said
Yeah.
whatever I said earlier.
So like I'm positive on it, but it's also not one that I was like actively seeking out.
Yeah.
Um
That strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper or whatever was fine also.
oh yeah, that one's very I thought that one's very good. But yeah, strawberry soda I'm on board with.
Yeah, seems favorable.
Also from Parker, classic horror movies that you think are hella overrated. All of them.
Yeah, I feel like we have answered this question before. And like the consensus sort of is, yeah. Like I think after recently rewatching all of the Omen, I'm gonna stick probably with the Omen. Like the Omen, Halloween, sorry, and Friday the 13th, I think are
I
overrated.
think the first Friday the 13th is wildly overrated. I think
Yeah.
all of the sequels are fine because they are just like they're like brain dead movies for just seeing like stupid kills. So
Yeah.
like if you're in the mood for that, I feel like almost any of the Friday the 13th sequels are fun. But I honestly think the first Friday the 13th is the weakest Friday the 13th because I don't care about the Jason's mom bullshit. Just give me a dude in a hockey
No.
mask fucking stabbing somebody with a fucking farming equipment.
Yeah, and I think like for the like it's not lost on me that like for the time I feel like the ending was probably
Yeah.
like nobody saw it coming. So like I can see why people revere it. It just, in my opinion, is like very whatever.
I am not a Hitchcock fan, so I'll say almost any of his stuff like The Birds or fucking Psycho.
I like Psycho. That's pretty
I
much
like
the only.
they're fine. They just have never really done anything for me. Um let's see, I'm trying to look at like some movies on Letterboxd. Like I like The Omen, but like things like that I can watch from the eye of like, oh, like this is, this doesn't hold up to like modern day standards, but like in the 70s this probably fucking broke people's brains kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I could watch shit like The Exorcist I still think holds up, but I can also watch it with like a modern eye and be like, well, this is kind of goofy now, but like in the 70s I understand why people were going fucking bonkers about The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Um
I love The Exorcist.
oh yeah, it's so good. But it's just what, it's one of those ones where I absolutely can see why like an 18-year-old now would watch it and be like, this is cheesy.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But like,
You're like, what?
let's see, I was like trying to look at some lists on Letterboxd to see if there's anything specific that's like I've been fucking very vocal about how much I do not like The Shining.
Love The Shining.
Um
Nightmare on
honestly,
Elm Street.
yeah, that's I think that's still good.
Poltergeist. Fine.
Uh
I'll tell you one that I assumed was overrated until I actually finally watched it, which is The Thing. That's like the
oh
opposite of
yeah.
the question they
Yeah.
asked, but I am looking at the list now.
I mean, I can like a lot of the Universal monster stuff I can enjoy, but I don't really care about, if that makes sense. Like I don't necessarily think some of them are overrated, but like they're movies I don't actively seek out watching.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
don't.
don't really give a shit about like Frankenstein at all, but like, I also don't actively think it's overrated, I guess. Uh yeah, I don't know. I mean, like honestly, a lot of the stuff I hate I've been pretty vocal about on here. And
Yeah.
like some of it's like, I don't know, hate and overrated are two different things. So like, I don't know. I think I'm probably fairly tagged as a hater of like most things people like.
Yeah, I think that's
And
fair to
like,
say.
but like a lot of it isn't necessarily stuff I think is overrated. It's just not my taste per
Yeah.
se. I got one. The Amityville Horror. I think that movie sucks and is borderline unwatchable. And I don't know why people like it so much, especially because Amityville 2 is way better.
Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, I think Amityville, I have like a different relationship with it. But I think like as far as I'm still gonna stick with, I think based off of how widely revered, I think I'm gonna stick with Halloween, unfortunately. I like posted, you know how on Instagram stories they do that thing where it's like pick five, you can only pick
Mm.
10 or whatever, and it's like a poster. There was one for like horror movies, pick five, and so I did, and I had people comment, like reply to it and be like, no Halloween, and I was like, shut the fuck up.
I love Halloween, but I also think it's like, I mean, I think Halloween is a perfect movie, but it's the one out of the John Carpenter filmography I think I watched the least.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know, I've seen it enough times, and it's one where like everyone has ripped it off so much that I feel like I've seen it way more times than I probably have.
Yeah.
Also, last one for Parker, most sadomasochistic thing you've done for I Hope You Suffer. I just watched all of Rob Zombie's movies in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. I was gonna say you have an easy answer because you
Um,
just did that.
Let me see. I'm gonna see. I mean, that fucking Omen episode was rough.
Okay, but sadomasochistic, I think, is like it was bad, but you liked it. So I think that's Rob Zombie for you.
Uh, I watched Kit and I record an episode on Chairman of the Board and Kazam early on. I'm trying to think of something we've done that was like in a row where we were just like, God, this sucks. But like, I don't know. I feel like the ones we've done like franchises on have been like mostly fun, like Alien and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, because I feel like
I feel like a lot of the movies that I really, really fucking hated. No, never mind. I got an easy answer for this. Katie and I watched like 20 Amityville movies for this podcast.
okay, so my answer, I was gonna say my answer would have been the Amityville, but I didn't actually get any enjoyment out of it, and I don't feel good having done it. I think I'm trying to think like maybe for me it might have been like I wasn't actually like very like this wasn't too bad, but we did all of the Leprechaun movies, and I like for the most part there was a lot of them that I didn't like, but I am glad that we did it. You know what else was hard that month that we did only sequels?
I thought that was well. You didn't like that because you had to watch MVP too.
Right, but then like I picked like Camp Blood 12 or
Yeah,
something,
I
and
picked
then
I picked like
that witch
yeah,
one was
like
pretty
number
bad.
16 in the franchise.
Yeah, but the idea of it was fun, so like I would definitely do it
Yeah, I
again.
want to do that again at some point.
Yeah.
But it's like it's also one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. When I look at like a lot of the ones that like I always like what my idea for that specifically is like I'm gonna find one that's got like so many movies that like whatever number I pick is gonna be like insane. And I feel like at like we already did that because it's just like I can't remember what that fucking which one was called, but then like Camp
I
Blood's got
know.
like 30 movies in it,
Yeah.
and you just pick like a random one. I mean, overall, I feel like just wait till December when we like Katie and I are doing Chris Kattan Miss again, and
Oh yeah.
we've
Yeah.
we've done the good ones, so we'll see we'll see
I
how that's gonna be.
and we mostly did the good ones the first year too, so yeah, I would say
I
that's probably
I mean, I guess my answer has to be the Omen because I like those Omen sequels, but they suck. So like, I don't know. That was
yeah,
a
that
rough one
was
for me.
yeah.
All right. Once again, John asked when we're gonna do Wolf Cop.
I was gonna say, haven't we talked about this before also?
Yeah, he asks every time we put up a Q&A
Yeah.
thing.
You know what? I respect it.
Never. No. I told him when like, cause
Maybe a
like
bonus episode.
I when we connected to do Devil's Rejects, I was like, oh man, it's like good to talk to you like in person for once. And he was like, we did an episode with Dylan and Jeremy on Freaked, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot all fucking about that. And so I was like, at some point we will absolutely do Wolf Cop. I was just like, right now, like, fucking scheduling anything between the three of us is already a fucking headache enough. Trying to get
Yeah.
someone else in a different country, in a different time zone, and all that shit, like, this fucking, I can't handle that right now. Because that's like, when people were like, oh, why isn't, like, Kid or Katie doing some of these Rob Zombie movies? I was like, I don't know. Katie said no, and it was just way easier for me to schedule with people by myself than with everyone else. So,
Yeah.
um, Mitch on Blue Sky said best use of food in a movie.
Oh man, this one
I
is tough for me.
I forgot. I meant to look it up earlier. I will find it. I gotta figure out what the title of this movie was, and I'll explain what it was after I find it.
Yeah, this one's hard for me because I love like when there's like sets for movies where they have like I talked about this actually weirdly in the Alien, that like 8 hour Alien episode, because one of them had these like really cool cups on board that they were drinking coffee out of, and I was like, oh my god, I love those cups. So I love like set pieces and like weird stuff like that in movies, and specifically food. I think best use of food though, Lady and the Tramp. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
It's clearly the egg kiss in
ew,
whatever
in
that.
that sushi movie.
Yeah, but that was a take on like an actual movie called like Tampopo or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's literally vile.
my answer is Mark Torgel filleting a piece of corn covered in mashed potatoes in the first turn on.
I
Which
don't
is
even.
it's like a Lloyd Kaufman from Troba, like back when before they started making like Toxic Avenger shit, they just did like sex comedies.
Oh,
And
great.
so like there's a scene where like he's just doing all of this gross shit with food.
Um, I don't. That's gross.
I know, it's upsetting.
I think okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm gonna say something that is not a movie but is a TV series, and that is Hannibal. Because the series is all based around like Hannibal, like making meals. I mean, it's not all based around that, but that's like a key
Right.
component of it, and it's like upscale, kind of like, the menu also is a good one that I feel like the whole movie is about food. Um, and I don't know if I would necessarily say that this is like a best use, but I'll tell you one of the things involving food that messed me up the most in my life, and that is the movie Flowers in the Attic.
I don't know if I ever saw that. I know like what the plot is, but
Yeah, so spoilers for this like extremely old and kind of now mainstream like movie, book or whatever. Because like back in the day, I think that movie came out in like 87 or something like that, like the original movie. And I read the books when I was like really young, which was a mistake. And there's a scene in it where like long story short, basically this woman has like a bunch of children, and her husband dies, and she's trying to like woo this like rich men so that she can like get married and be able to like support her family. So she moves in with her grandmother, and she doesn't want the men to know that she has kids. So the kids go to live in the attic, and she kind of just starts like living her best life and decides that she doesn't want to like have to deal with the kids. And so they live in the attic. Like obviously it's like scandalous now because there's like incest and whatnot, but one of the things that happens is in it is that they decide, there's like two little twins in the movie, book, whatever story, and they decide that like it's better for them, they're gonna basically just like put them out of their misery because they live in an attic and they don't have sunlight and they can't play and they can't really eat food and they're like withering away because they're children, and they like cover powdered donuts with arsenic and feed them
yeah.
the donuts. And I remember being like so scandalized and traumatized by that at the time. I was probably like 12 though, so like go figure. But that powdered donut thing has always stuck with me to the point where now if I like eat powdered donuts, like I always think about it. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's my answer. Also, like these are animated, but any Miyazaki movie, the food in those are always amazing.
Yeah.
Like delish.
I'm gonna say
The egg kiss?
the gluttony
Oh, the
scene
corn thing?
from Seven.
7. Oh, yeah. I
uh,
thought slaw, you know.
yeah, yeah, Slaw clearly. Sheridan wants to know why we don't have our pets on as guests and called us cowards, and I respond to that by saying Hooch is in every episode.
I was going to say, to be fair, Hooch definitely is in every episode, slobbering or
Snorting.
snoring. We used to have
Fucking Xerxes was in all of them. Lex
best.
has been on them.
I was gonna
Tenebrae.
say, yeah, best Angel Xerxes used to be in pretty much every episode. My cats have been in and out of them. Also, one time there was a cat that wasn't even mine, screaming and screaming and screaming. So we have,
Yeah, they're around.
yeah.
Sheridan also said, fuck, Mary, kill her. Killer clown, leprechaun, and a xenomorph.
Why does this always happen?
This is easy.
Wait, say it again.
It's a killer clown from Killer
Like,
Clowns in Outer Space,
okay.
leprechaun, and a
Ugh.
xenomorph. It's clearly you fuck a xenomorph, you marry leprechaun because he can grant wishes, and you kill a killer clown.
I don't like this. Is even worse than the last one that was like Chucky something something.
I don't even remember
Um,
that, but that checks out.
yeah. The leprechaun is so gross to look at though. Uh,
Yeah, but like you gotta think, like if he can grant wishes, just wish that he looks better.
oh, that's true. Okay, Mary Leprechaun. Although I do like well, okay, but does the xenomorph want to kill you, or are they like in love with you? I need to know
I
the
feel like they would
specifics.
love us.
I feel like I would want to marry the xenomorph. Yeah, kill the killer clown and wish the leprechaun to not look freaky and then fuck him. There we go.
All right. My mom said, "What movie would you pay any amount of money to see?" And I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna say, I mean,
Like,
I don't know if it's like a thing. I'm gonna take it in terms of like, hey, what's a movie that you haven't seen in theaters, but like would like to
wish you
see on a
did.
big screen or something. Like, there's movies that I have on my wish list on Letterboxd that are like movies that are presumed lost.
Mm-hmm.
That like, every once in a while, some of that shit just somebody stumbles across like a 35 millimeter print somewhere.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I'd like to see Naked Killer on a
yeah,
fucking big screen. That movie rocks. Uh,
definitely top of my list. Or does it mean like a movie that doesn't exist that you want them to make?
I don't, I don't know. That's like I
Well, okay, but unfortunately, I like just don't think I have an answer for either scenario.
yeah, I'm trying to think because there's movies I would like to see on the big screen, but I'm also not like, like I would have fucking like if time travel's involved, I feel like seeing Alien with like no
Yeah,
knowledge when it
yeah,
came out would be incredible, or something like The Thing.
right.
I'm trying to think. I've seen Dawn of the Dead on like a big screen a couple times.
I do
Uh,
wish that I saw the Batman in theaters.
A Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, masterpiece. I think easy answer for if you could go back and see it like for the first time in the theater. I think definitely Alien.
Yeah, I feel like seeing that or Aliens, like any of those, like in a theater would be
Yeah.
like super cool.
Oh, I know. The speaking of Alien, the third whatever that doesn't exist that should exist.
Oh, the After Alien Covenant or whatever.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
trilogy.
fucking come on, man. Let
That's
the
what I want.
Instead we're getting some dog shit fucking show about xenomorphs on Earth.
Yeah.
Uh, Shane, not the one that's on the podcast all the time, asked who wins between Killer Sofa and Deathbed, and it's clearly Killer Sofa.
Yeah, I feel killer sofa only because like the mobility. Like I feel like a sofa could really go anywhere. I feel like it'd be way harder for a bed to like get to you.
It also like doesn't hurt that like Deathbed was made in like the 70s or 80s or some shit, so it's like just fair Killer Sofa's like got a face and move it around and shit.
Yeah, he's what's it called? He can articulate. He's got
Uh,
articulated musculature.
uh, Shane also asked, rank all the Blumhouse horror. So
Zero.
go to a
Everything.
list. No, you can't say that because your favorite movie, the 2020s, is a Blumhouse movie.
No.
I looked up a
Every
list of
there's no
Blumhouse
way.
like movies after he said that question, and I was like, I think there's 3 on this whole list I would back, maybe 4.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, Cam, the Netflix movie, is a Blumhouse horror, or is a Blumhouse movie. That movie rocks. Get Out and Us are both very good. I feel like there's one other one that
Yeah, can we?
Unfriended is fine. Oh, Lords of Salem, that was the other one. Lords of Salem is like a Blumhouse produced movie. Did
Yeah, I was
you
gonna.
know there's a fucking Brian Fuller Christine remake coming?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Get that shit out of here.
I like Brian Fuller.
Yeah, but we don't need it. Like Christine's already fucking
Yeah.
done. Why are we doing this?
Um. So instead of list, did they say rank all of them?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you a few that I actually
Yeah,
like.
that's pretty much
Which,
all I was doing.
yeah, which is yes. The Invisible Man, I loved. Amazing, favorite movie of whatever. I liked Totally Killer. I liked Megan.
Oh, I hated that movie.
I liked it. Let's see. I liked The Black Phone. I still have not seen Get Out. I'm sure that I will like it though. Um, I haven't seen Creep still.
What about The Deep House?
I don't know if I've seen that. What is that?
It's that underwater found footage
Oh,
movie.
no, I did not.
Yeah,
You know
movie
what?
sucks.
I am obsessed with the idea of there being like a house or a haunted house in the water.
Yeah.
And I have read a few books and watched movies, and they all are bad. I'm like, how can you take such a good premise and like fuck it up so bad? I liked Split. I did not know that was Blumhouse.
Yeah, I don't think I saw Split. I haven't seen either of those, like anything after Unbreakable from that like
Yeah,
series.
the Deep House, no. Very disappointing. I like Paranormal Activity 1 and 2 a lot.
I like 3. Is 3 the one that's like like a camcorder or whatever? It's like the
It's like
yeah,
a
the 80s because specifically all I remember from that movie is there's a scene where it's put on like a an oscillating fan
yeah,
that I really liked. What about the
I
Tooth Fairy with the rock?
Is it really?
Apparently.
Um,
That's the thing, is there's some movies on here that are movies that like aren't Blumhouse horror movies that I feel like I might like if I watched, like Whiplash and
yeah.
shit like that, but like I don't know, like their horror movies are fucking bad.
I still haven't seen Happy Death Day,
Happy Death Day is
which I think
okay.
people
It's
unite.
like I think it's an interesting premise that someone else could have done better, but it's not like the worst. Hush is
You know,
okay, the Mike Flanagan movie.
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I
I watched that when it first hit Netflix just on like a whim. And so like I don't know if it would hold up now for me, but
I think we were just talking about this in your wrap up, whatever. I think like ultimately my opinion of Blumhouse is bad. Like if I'm watching a movie and their logo pops up, I'm like, "Oh great, this is going to be shitty." But as I'm looking at this, like there's actually a lot that I consider some of my favorites, like Insidious, that Sweetheart, which we did for the thing,
mm,
obviously The Invisible Man. But I feel like there's a difference between like what I would consider a Blumhouse horror. Like a
no,
lot of them,
like oh sorry, not to interrupt. I was gonna say my big thing is like all of the ones I liked are either somebody with a very distinct style like Jordan Peele,
yeah,
or it's
yeah,
early movies before they were like known as like Blumhouse movies.
yeah.
Because their earlier movies are like seem a little more varied than what it is now, where like I feel like so much of their shit is like the same feel and just
Yeah.
like not good.
Like unless they've got somebody directing it that's like legit. That's kind of what I was trying to hint at. Like there's just a feel to them and like a lot of them too are like straight to Prime or straight to Hulu or whatever, and those ones are just like the fucking worst.
Like, their upcoming slate of movies are just remakes or shit with like titles like Worst Roommate Ever.
Yeah.
Like, there's another Insidious movie, a Blair Witch Project remake, My Bloody Valentine remake, Christine remake.
I didn't know there's My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, another Strangers movie, a Spawn remake, a Mummy remake, another Five Nights at Freddy's, Megan 2, Black Phone 2. Like, I don't know.
I'm
Like,
perplexed why there needs to be a Black Phone too.
I mean, I didn't see it, so I'm not sure, but like,
yeah.
Like, literally all of these movies, they're like from the last maybe 3 years that they've released, outside of Megan, seem like movies that people fucking hated. Like Night Swim, The Exorcist Believer, The Strangers remake. That Wolfman movie doesn't seem like it got a very good reception.
Yeah.
Like,
somebody on Reddit, I watched every Blumhouse movie.
Oh my god.
I assume that they are no longer with us.
Yeah, that's like when I was trying to watch all the fucking Asylum movies.
Yeah.
Alright. Jeremy asked, why so many Marvel movies and no BPRD movies? Because no one knows what that is.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that this is his question.
I mean,
so that's the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense.
Yeah, from Hellboy.
I
mean, he's not wrong, but like,
yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I think no, maybe I'm wrong. For some reason, I thought there was a really bad BPRD movie, but I think I'm thinking of that like
RIPD or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, Hellboy in general has gotten kind of like the short stick.
Yeah.
I don't know much about, like, I didn't know who Hellboy was or anything like that until that 2004 movie came out, which I still love that movie. And I think I've seen, I can't actually say for sure if I've seen all the actual movies. But I don't know, like, what the reception for the comics is like.
For Hellboy?
Yeah.
I think they're pretty, like, beloved. I mean, they're like most comics. There's like, varying degrees because different authors and shit like that. But I think overall people like Hellboy.
Yeah, and I think that like my honest answer is that I think that Marvel movies in general are more palatable to the masses, and specifically, and I know this is going to be like a weird take considering who Jeremy is as a person, but I think it's more palatable across people specifically where like religious beliefs are involved, because like most of them are like
they're like the Marvel ones are just like as much as we've talked about how much we like the Marvel movies, like they're bland action movies, like
exactly
they're inoffensive like action movies.
Inoffensive actually is the word. They're also not polarizing in any way. They're just like, it's good versus evil, which like obviously, but then when you get into something like Hellboy, and I feel like more recent, so like Hellboy is very much more of like the occult side of things, I would say, and until kind of more recently, I feel like those characters, even for Marvel, were not like super popular. Like Doctor Strange, Agatha is really popular now, Scarlet Witch, like those are all characters that I would say are more like occultish or like witchcraft related. And like even if you think about DC with like Constantine, Zatanna, Etrigan, like those characters that are more rooted in like witches and demons and things like that were not as mainstream until more recently. And I feel like that's kind of like the thing that's holding Hellboy back from being a little bit more like them thinking, oh yeah, let's like make this like movie, because it's all like demons from folklore and stuff like that, which I personally of course love. One of my favorite subgenres of like books or TV literally is paranormal investigation. And so like this would be something that's like right up my alley, but I do sort of feel like that's held it back in the past because people it's like polarizing as far as like what they're portraying, if that makes sense, like
Yeah,
as far as like the occult goes and things like that. So that would be my actual answer.
it's because nobody wants to pay for the special effects, and then you could just make
Yes.
half of the Marvel movies on a green screen and CGI.
So that's the other thing. I was gonna say, like, if you look at that original, like, 2004 Hellboy, like, obviously at that point, there's still more prosthetics than I feel like they're, but they were, like, leaning away from that. So, yeah, there is a lot of CG. I mean, Marvel stuff does, but I feel like it's harder when it's, like,
Yeah,
creatures
I
versus, and, like, an alien. I don't know.
I would fucking love to live in the world where there's like 25 Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movies and spin-offs.
Yeah. And I also feel like it's such a good idea for like a serialized TV show also. Like just do that with like on like a TV budget. I feel like you could
Well,
pull it
yeah, it's
off.
like we always say, like fucking how much I want like a Gotham PD TV show that's not the show Gotham.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, Crane wants to know when he's coming back on. Never.
Listen, I ask that every day. So I don't have the answer for you.
Again, when your kids all move out and
Yeah. Stop
you're
having a family that you love and
you have
enjoy.
free time to record podcasts. Be like Shane, who's like, "Fuck work, I'll come on and talk about some Ashley
Stop
Hayes Wright
working.
movie."
Stop going to the gym. Forget the gains. You could be on the show.
All right, so Taylor asked favorite Jersey set horror movie, and I'm gonna ask you favorite Virginia.
Oh,
So now you gotta look up Virginia-based movies, horror movies.
okay.
Uh,
Um,
I mean, horror movie. Uh, Frankenhooker, I guess.
I think
Maybe Brain Scan set in New Jersey.
I think it's Jersey Shore Shark Attack,
I
which
mean,
is the
yes.
only movie I know.
I mean,
Um,
outside of horror, clearly the Kevin Smith movies, and like literally, and almost anything Troma made is the fucking set in New Jersey. Uh, Apparently, Hellboy takes place in New Jersey at some point.
that makes sense to
Harold
me.
and Kumar go to White Castle.
Great.
I mean, horror movie wise, I guess I'm gonna say Brain Scan. I don't know. Probably Frankenhooker. I think I like better than Brain Scan.
Well, I know you don't like this,
Um,
but technically Amityville was filmed in Virginia or New
oh,
Jersey, sorry.
Ant Farm Dickhole takes place in New Jersey.
Oh, there you go.
Um, the Collingswood story was okay. It's like a very early computer screen like found footage movie.
Oh,
Um, I mean Friday the 13th is probably the answer most people say because that takes
yeah,
place in like
definitely.
uh, but if I'm leaning outside of horror, it's probably Chasing Amy, maybe Dogma. I think I
Oh,
like Chasing
yeah.
Amy more than Dogma.
Oh no, Dogma. Um, well, you'll be happy to know that on this list of movies set in Virginia, Butt Crack is on here.
Hell yeah, the movie rocks.
Um, Bloody Summer Camp, never heard of. Okay, well, obviously my easy answer is Donnie Darko. Flowers in the Attic. Amazing.
That takes place in Virginia.
That's what this list says. I don't actually know. So like the thing like immediately when I think of Virginia, I think of like the Appalachian Mountains because like it runs through there and we spent a lot of time there and there's a lot of like horror that takes place in that and like more specifically West Virginia, which like to be very fair, I spent a lot of time in also. So when I'm thinking about that kind of stuff, like I've read so much stuff in Virginia as far as I mean that they're not movies though, but it's like hard for me to pull something that's like Virginia that actually matters that is in Virginia.
Mm.
But
One of these lists says I saw the TV glow has something to do with in New Jersey, so
There you go.
I don't know if it does or not, but that's my answer. I saw a TV glow.
Okay.
Or Coneheads. Coneheads apparently takes place in New Jersey.
Yeah, I
Oh,
definitely.
it says Madam Web has a scene in New Jersey. Madam Web's a horror movie.
Yes, it is. Uh, he's out there. Omen the Awakening.
I don't even know if I could tell you a movie that takes place in Virginia. Let's see. Oh,
Oh wait.
that's not
Oh,
how you
I have
spell
to open this
Virginia.
person's. I have to open this person's Google Drive to see the answers. They've made a list for every state. That is really insane.
Yeah, people are crazy on Letterboxd.
Yeah. Okay. Let me. It's not letting me
Oh,
just.
it's not Evan Almighty.
I don't even know if I've seen that. Let's see. All right, here we go. Oh, there's a ton of them. Let's see. Wrong Turn. Ooh, the Satan Killer. Um, MILFs versus Zombies. Definitely up there for me. Yeah, I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot. So I'm gonna say either actually, which is so funny that Flowers in the Attic came up earlier in this episode. So yeah, Flowers in the Attic. Somebody is seeming to say that Donnie Darko does not take place in Virginia, so.
Out of all of like every movie on these Virginia lists, I think the only one I even have blacked out on my letterbox is Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, I that's actually like one of my all-time favorite movies, but did not is that not Maryland?
I mean, there's probably a scene in Virginia because some of these lists are just straight up just like DMV
Well,
lists or
yeah,
whatever.
and I was gonna say some of them are like a lot of them that I saw were just like filming locations. Like obviously Amityville takes place in New York, but it was filmed in Jersey, or at least most like that facade, not facade, but like the iconic house is in New Jersey. So it's kind of like I don't know. I don't know that I know of anything off the top of my head that's like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
Virginia.
Jordis asked favorite Phantasm sequel. Have you seen any of the Phantasm movies?
I've seen maybe three of them. I've definitely seen the first two, so my answer is the second one, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably my answer is two, but I also barely care about the Phantasm movies. So my real answer
Yeah,
is Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
yeah, actually, true. Yeah.
uh yeah, Phantasm's not a franchise I've ever been overly like into. Like the first one I think is really good, and then it's just like very diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Uh
I
I
when I
remember
used to have
the last one had a giant fucking one of those balls with the spikes that was like
yeah.
destroying a whole city, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah. I don't have any relationship with it. When I used to have Shudder, you know how they had that like Shudder TV function or
Yeah.
whatever. I was watching that and I watched probably it was probably like I watched the first two and then I watched like half of the second one and then like turned it off or the third one and like turned it off or whatever. But
Wait, who asked this question? Mark asked favorite depiction of a stoner in a horror movie. Uh, Everybody in Evil Bong.
yeah. Um my answer is the leprechaun himself in Back to
Hell
the Hood.
yeah. Whichever one he gets high in.
Yeah, I it's Back to the Hood.
Freddy Got
I
Fingered. It's a horror movie, I think.
I would say so. I liked the guy in Freddy versus Jason also. And like
Oh my god.
I
Every 2000s movie that has like a stoner in it is like the most over the top fucking portrayal.
yeah, I was gonna say because like I watched Idle Hands for the first time in like decades or whatever last year, and I just remember being like taken aback by how like over the top stoner the people in the movie were, and I was just like, I don't remember this at all. So that's not my takeaway. My other favorite is ironically because I don't usually like him, Jack Black in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know he's in that, but I don't remember.
So they like go to that like island resort or whatever, and he's on the island. He like works for the resort, and he has like he's wearing like one of those like typical like wigs with like fake dread. He's got like dreadlocks, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like pretends like he I don't know. He's ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah. And then what's his face in Shaun of the Dead I think counts.
Yeah, that's like the main horror movies coming up on most of these lists on Letterboxd. Like, everything else on them is just like comedies and shit, like Seth Rogen movies, and
Yeah.
like I'm not seeing a lot of horror movies specifically. So I guess I go with Evil Bong. His movies
I mean
suck,
that's fair.
but they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, that was the last question people asked, but I wrote two down.
Oh geez.
What's your favorite? Like, what do you think your favorite horror movie villain is?
You're not gonna like my answer.
It's Ghostface.
Yeah.
Mine's Waylon Utani.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. I think that for me, like Ghostface, like I don't know why, but I like obviously like really latched on to the Scream mask of it all, and I like the idea that like the actual villain is really just like
Different
the pe
people,
the
or
people
just
you
like a
know.
person.
Yeah, like it could actually be anybody, and yeah, I like the costume too. I think well, Nutani is a really good one. I because I feel like I have a lot of issues with like a lot of the we kind of talked about like Freddy when we did all those movies.
Yeah,
Maybe that's maybe going back to that question about like the worst and best time. Might have been all the Friday the 13th movies. Or
Nightmare on
I'm
Elm
sorry,
Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Because like I don't know, a lot of the ones that are like prevalent, like are popular. I just feel like there's like nothing to them except they want to
Yeah,
molest
I mean,
children and kill
they're
people.
just like it's the same way like the Friday the 13th ones are. Like I think we
Yeah,
talked about that episode where like they're I think the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are less fun versions of the Friday the 13th movies, where those become fun because the kills are like absurd. And
mm,
like I think the Nightmare on Elm Street ones get like worse when they become that.
yeah,
Cuz like that first one is legitimately like creepy and weird. And then the second one is just like insane because it's like a huge like gay allegory that apparently no one realized they were making. And then they just like start falling off a cliff for me because they become just about doing weird kills, but like they become so like bloodless and like uninteresting to me after like Dream Warriors that I don't
yeah,
care. Where like Friday the 13th, it's like the epitome of just like nothing characters as cannon fodder for like a bad guy.
yeah,
And so like I don't know, when I was like looking at that question, I was like, I don't really give a shit about any of the like I mean like like I like those Friday the 13th movies. I like some of the Halloweens. I like some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. I mean like I guess if it's gonna come down to like a slasher villain, probably Chucky,
yeah.
because
Well,
he's got like the most I think personality and most interesting sort of like story throughout the movies. But like overall, like Whale Utani, capitalism's the bad guy.
like actually, yeah. Like everything that is rotten to the core about a person, he like inhabits that.
Yeah, like
So
just that
that's
that corporation in general is fucking
yeah,
behind everything bad happening in those movies.
yeah.
And then like the other one I wrote down is like favorite piece of physical media. So like books, I guess video games, stuff for you, something like that.
Hmm.
I wrote this question down and I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna answer for it. I'm trying to think. I have a copy of Prince's The Black Album that I found like randomly used. That's like an album that like is technically unreleased, where like they printed copies and then like at the last minute Prince pulled them, but some record stores had already started selling them. and
Wow.
so they're like super rare and like they're not like a thing that's ever on streaming or anything like that. Um, I don't know. I have like a bunch of fucking weird like comic book novelization books that are fun. Like I have one that's Star Trek meets the X-Men. So fucking Patrick Stewart is on the cover twice.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
And I don't know. I really like the Dawn of the Dead DVD set I have that's got like 9 different cuts of the movie, like all this like documentaries and shit, like the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show box set. Well, like as much as a lot of the movies don't fully work for me, it's like a fun set because it's all these movies that were presumed like lost that they just found and were able to release, and then there's like a bunch of like documentaries in the set about like film preservation and how it happens and shit that are really interesting. So that's like
That's cool.
pretty fun. Um, I'm sure I got more. Like I have a fucking insane amount of movies that I probably could list. Like a lot of the like big box sets that companies have released have been really good. Like that All Our Haunts Are Ours set of folk horror movies from Severin is super good. The actually, honestly, as far as movies goes, like the Black Emmanuel box set is insane and like so well done. Like Severin fucking killed it with that box set, and like the movies are all relatively bad, but I like them. So like the movie quality is like whatever, but like the actual like content in that set is like like so like lovingly well done. Like it comes with like a fucking 300-page book of like essays about the series and shit. It's really good. I feel like you probably got some like Stephen King books and shit in there.
Not. I do have like a first edition of Firestarter that is like leather bound. That's pretty cool. I found at a like closeout
Right.
library situation. I don't feel like I have a lot of books though. I think um the coolest to me book wise is like not something that's actually even that hard to get, but is the Blair Witch Project dossier.
Hmm.
Um it's essentially just like a book that came out in conjunction with the Blair Witch because, duh, like at the time they were like trying to make it seem like Blair Witch was real and so they came out with a book that has like again still pretending that the documentary is real, but it has like all of these like things that go with it, like messages between the people who are like setting up doing the interviews and like it's basically just like a bunch of I don't even know how to explain it. There's like pictures from like fake diaries that supposedly were found and like all of the stuff in it, which I don't have the jacket for it though, so if anybody finds that, I definitely need it. But it's like one of my favorite things just because it's like so weird and
Right.
like obviously I love the lore around Blair Witch because like I lived it.
I
Um
love shit like that. Like I know Twin Peaks. There's a bunch of books
yeah.
on it. That's like there's one that's like just like I think you could actually listen to like an audio version of it that's just like Agent Cooper's like tapes that he records
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shit
I
like
love
that.
shit like that.
Like I like just dumb weird movie tie-in things like that. Like I remember like getting I can't remember if I bought it or if I just borrowed it from the library. There was like an entire book that was just Lemony Snicket's files for like the stuff on like for that happens in a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
That was like pretty fun. Stuff like that. That's like the more. I mean, well, I want to say more movies should do stuff like that, but I don't feel like most movies have the fucking like anything going on in them to justify something like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean like because like back in the day, obviously that stuff was like only accessible via print.
Yeah,
Like and then sometimes early on website stuff, but like that wasn't there that was like not you can just like Google and look up anything now, so like the mystery's gone. But that might I mean aside from like The only other thing that I have that I like covet as far as books go is I have like the very original first printed in America run of the Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura manga because I was like buying it at the time. So I have like the original sets that came out that are done in a format that they don't do anymore, and it's like original translation, so that's like pretty rare. Um but I don't think I have any like physical movies that are like anything
Yeah.
special.
I'm trying to think
Um,
if like I have any comic books that I remember being like specifically like rare or anything like that. Because I feel like most of the time when I would buy comic books, they'd just be like dumb shit that I would find for like used for
yeah,
like buy five for $1 or whatever.
yeah. I have
Um,
some of the again, actually, Sailor Moon, when they first started bringing like manga to America, also they did comic size versions of them. So I do have some Sailor Moon of that, and then I have some like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. So I guess those would be considered rare because they were like serialized as individual comics. Because like in Japan, when they would have released them, it would have been in a magazine that you would have like bought, and it would have had like that weekly installment, but it would have been like a bunch of stuff like all together, if that makes sense.
right.
And then they did them separately to see, I guess, if the American children would like it, and we did.
Well, one of them did.
Wow. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I have like a lot of shit, but like, I don't like outside of like movies. I feel like I don't go for like I don't know big things. Like a lot, like almost all of my books are probably bought used and not usually shit that anybody's like have actively like coveting. So it's
yeah.
not like cool shit. It's just like shit that I'm like, this looks interesting or whatever. Or it's just like I said, like weird comic book character novelizations. Like records, it's kind of the same way. It's just like a bunch of like, I mean, I have a lot of cool like noise tapes because like people will just make insane packaging for them.
Hmm.
Like I have a tape that is attached to a piece of wood and two bolts that are just like screwed into place and shit. Like just dumb shit like that. I had one that was like the entire tape was like encased in like some sort of like foam you had to break apart to get to the tape.
I love that.
It's just dumb shit like that. All right.
They need to do more stuff
I
like that.
agree. More people should do weird
Yeah.
artsy shit with their releases.
Yeah, I think like the only stuff that I have that's probably worth any money at this point is anything that I saved from like my video game collection,
Yeah.
which is like super small compared to what it was, but it's stuff that like I'm not going to sell no matter how much money someone would pay for it, so
I still have a working Vectrex machine
wow.
that
No one's heard of that.
it's like pre-Atari home video game
Hmm.
thing that like literally is just like a box with a screen that you just plug like a thing in, like the game into,
Yeah.
and it's literally just like lines where you can play like essentially early versions of shit like a Space Invaders type game or like the one where you're just driving a tank around and shooting at each other. That surprisingly still works. That probably is worth some money, but I'm not selling that. All right, you want to talk about whatever stuff you've watched since
Wow, did
whenever
I even watch
we
anything?
recorded again like last time?
Yeah, let's see.
I surprisingly have a lot since fucking Rumpelstiltskin.
I think I like watched a bunch of documentaries again. I watched Devil in the Family: The Fall of Ruby Frankie, which is
We all know who Ruby Frankie is.
yeah. I actually found this like obviously I watch a lot of true crime-ish documentaries, and I've been watching a few recently that are more recent, and specifically I've watched a few different ones about family vloggers. This one by far is like one of the best documentaries I've watched in a really long time. It's like the pacing's really good. They show stuff in a way that makes sense. They show us like I don't know. It was just like done really well, which I feel like is rare for me to say as far as documentaries go. So if anyone's at all interested in that story, definitely recommend that one. Because then I watched Glitter and Greed, the Lisa Frank story. Um,
Uh-oh, greed.
yeah, could you believe? Um, I don't know if I've ever really talked about it, but like obviously I was obsessed with Lisa Frank growing up. Animals, bright colors, stickers, like absolutely all in. This documentary to me was not good. Because the the first three episodes is like literally just interviewing people who like worked for the Lisa Frank company and then interviewing like and then they're just like talking about like I'm so sorry but it is 2025 and I am not going to be scandalized by the idea that like a creative company in the 80s did not like compensate workers correctly. Like hello, that's not they're like oh big bombshell whatever. And then like the third episode is like interviewing her ex-husband and her son, who is what's the word? Uh what's the word? Not disconnected from her.
Oh, like not disowed, but like something like
Whatever.
that.
You know what I'm trying to say. They do not have a relationship and it's just like them shit talking her and I'm like I just don't know if like nobody you're not reliable narrators to me. And then the last episode is kind of shitty information. So if anyone's interested, I say just skip to the last episode because like oh yeah, oh your boss was mean and didn't like your ideas. Oh, whatever. I feel like I watched something else too but can't remember. I rewatched Donnie Darko, also weirdly relevant, which of course I still loved. And then for some reason, I finally decided that I'm gonna watch The Strain. So I'm watching The Strain. I'm like 6 episodes in.
Weird.
I know. I remember like when it first aired, I watched the first episode. It was like, this was fine. Like I'm not really interested. But then I've been reading a lot of like coincidentally a lot of the books that came up in my library hold have been vampire books. And I was like, okay, I'll get back into vampires again, as if I'm like ever kind of not. But but I was like, oh, okay. So so far I've like just from like remembering watching the commercials when it was airing on TV, like so far I've kind of remembered everything that's happening. And like it is a little bit slow, but I'm kind of enjoying it actually. So we'll see. I have no idea how they're going to sustain this for 4 seasons, but we're going to find out. That might be
Um.
it, really.
All right. Let's see. I watched The Terminator and Leprechaun 3 at work on
Great.
Tubi. I rewatched The Void. I watched. Like I say, I had a day or like a night. Caitlin was like spending the night at their sister's house to like watch their nephews, and so I watched absolute banger Dinosaurs in a Mining Facility and the documentary that is more than twice the length of the movie. That's like an exhaustive making of documentary called Road to Tyrannus. That's really good.
Hmm.
I then followed that up accidentally with Dinosaur Valley Girls. So I had a little dinosaur double feature. The
Oh.
Vinegar Syndrome, or not Vinegar Syndrome, Visual Vengeance release of it. And it's fine. It's like, it's a very stupid 90s movie about this, like, action star that's having, like, these nightmares that, about, like, some cave woman and dinosaurs and accidentally gets time traveled to fucking dinosaur times.
Yeah, I can
Um,
relate to that.
and it's like a 90s sort of sex comedy kind of thing where, it's just like a movie for made for like, USA Up All Night where there's just like boobs in it and shit like that. I mean, I don't know, it was fine. And then I watched the Visual Vengeance release of Furious, which is like a 1984 kung fu movie that's insane and rocks.
Hmm.
I had seen that before, so I mostly just watched like the commentary tracks for it because Justin Declos from No Such Thing as a Bad Movie does a commentary track for it, and then has like a couple other special features on it. And then I just rewatched Thinner, and crawl at work. Fucking TV at work. I think that's it. There's a new season of 90 Day Fiance that so far is boring, but it's only been 2 episodes, so like nothing insane has happened. But there's a throuple on it that I know is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can guess.
They have to get divorced for one of them to marry this woman to move to America. It's
oh my god,
insane. Like I already know they're going to be insanely messy. I'm trying to think. I don't think we've necessarily been watching like anything else. Just fucking whatever dumb shit we usually watch already.
yeah, still, yeah. We our like bedtime to fall asleep show was Reba, but we finished
Wolf.
that, and now
Well, you can start a new show. She's got a new show now.
It's so bad.
I bet.
We gave it 3 episodes, and I just like, it's like one of those shows where there's like boomer, but also whatever Gen Z, whatever humor, and like I just don't understand who the show's for, but it's definitely not me. So we will not be watching it. And then we started Modern Family, which is
Modern
like
Family's pretty good.
1,000 seasons long,
Yeah.
though. So far, I mean, I'm not having a bad time.
As far as like general sort of like sitcoms go, you could do worse.
Oh yeah. The thing with Reba too is that I used to love Reba because they used to air it on Lifetime, so I would like watch it after school or whatever. And I remember finding it funny or whatever, and then we rewatched it like, I don't know, maybe when we lived in Richmond and whatever, and then we rewatched it now, and it's like one of those things though where like now that I'm like a full grown adult somehow, Reba is so annoying. Like anytime somebody does something like makes their own, she's just like such a typical like type A controlling mom, but they try to make it funny. And like before I still was like haha whatever, but now it like infuriates me because it's like somebody wants to do something and Reba's like, I don't like, oh, they want to have Thanksgiving over at like their dad's house or whatever, and she's like, what, Thanksgiving has to be at my house? And I'm like, oh my god, chill out, let people enjoy things. So it's just like kind of ruined by me being older, I think, because I'm just like,
I feel like
she's
there was like a time period after like Roseanne where they were like, oh, we gotta do like Southern Woman TV shows, because there was like Reba, there was fucking Grace Under Fire, there was like I feel like a handful of them, and I don't really think any of them were good. And it's unfortunate that Roseanne Barr is a fucking lunatic, because
yeah,
the show's so good.
Roseanne was funny, but yeah, so it's just Modern Family, which was like totally fine. We were gonna do Married with Children, but I was like,
I did that like right before moving to New Jersey, and it's rough. Like there's funny shit in it, but man.
I just was like looking at the first episode, like the little screen thing. I was just like, I just don't know if this is gonna hold up.
Like,
so
everyone in it is generally like really funny. Like those, like seasons like 2 through 5 or whatever. Like the content not great, but like Ed O'Neill is genuinely so funny in that show, and Katie Seagal.
Yeah.
But like content wise, it's rough because it's just like endless jokes about how stupid women are. Yep. Like I don't know, it was rough, but I watched all of it, but it gets real bad towards the end. The last couple of seasons are so unfunny.
I bet. So I'll just completely write that off, and like we still get Ed O'Neill because he's in Modern Family, so it's fine.
All right. Do you have anything you want to shout out?
I knew you were gonna ask me that.
You should every episode.
I know. I don't think I really have anything like new. Like there's another Deaf Heaven single, which I like more than the last one. It's really good. But still, I'm 16 books deep into the year, and I do not have one to recommend, so it's looking sad. I need recommendations for something good. You know what? The one that I'm reading right now, I'm enjoying, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people, so that's...
Hear me out. Amityville Bukkake.
Okay.
My shout out,
Yeah.
the Lonely Island video where Keenan Thompson plays Reba McEntire.
Oh, I need to watch that still.
It's pretty funny. Keenan or Andy thinks it's Reba McEntire, and you just find out it's Keenan found a red wig, and uh, Andy immediately thought he was Reba McEntire, so he convinces him to suck his dick
Oh, of
because he thinks it's a
course.
celebrity.
Oh
It's
my God,
very
Keenan
stupid.
doing the Reba face is really funny. Just on like
He keeps
the
yelling, "I'm
thumbnail.
Reba" in it.
Amazing. I love his scarf. He looks very
It's
2001.
so funny because it starts off as like a track of like, hip hop meets country. We're doing this thing, and then it just starts into a story about how Keenan tricked Andy Samberg.
Two Worlds
Yeah.
Collide featuring Reba McEntire. Amazing.
All right. Next week, the fuck was this stupid ass? Katie and I are gonna watch a very stupid cryptid documentary on Tubi.
Oh,
I have it in like the I hope the separate episode guide.
aliens.
It's like aliens, cryptids, and something. It's another one like when we did that scariest creatures in America and the world one. We're gonna do that to prime ourselves for some Bigfoot action when Kit gets back.
Yeah, some
Um,
BFA, Bigfoot action.
Aliens, cryptids, and creatures. Top 10 real monsters.
Yeah, I'm so excited for these top 10 reel.
They're all gonna be extremely real.
Oh, okay. You know what show also I've been watching that I finished the updated 2020 A Haunting Celebrity Ghost Stories. It was only a couple episodes or whatever. The and so do you know like the show Caught on Tape,
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I know the
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 gist of it?
name or whatever.
So it is like the most like overly it is like just shenanigans. Because there's this show that I used to love called My Ghost Story, where it's literally just like people saying their ghost story, and then there's like reenactments or whatever. But there's this version that's called My Ghost Story Caught on Tape, and it is the most. And it's just like, so it's the same thing where it's like people saying like, oh yeah, I went in here and we got this picture or whatever, and they show you like their evidence, right? And like normally in the episodes it's just straight retelling, there's no like evidence showing, so this is like the caught on tape version.
Mm.
But the narrator is insane. It's like the zaniest, most like overdone, like night like thing that you can think of. They're like, and then she turned the corner and there was a ghost, like just shit like that. It's so bad. And but like 90% of it is them being like, oh, we captured this, and then they'll show like a film, like a picture that somebody took with their like snap camera or whatever, and it's like, orbs. I would say like 75% of it or 80% of it is just orbs, which, as you know how I feel about orbs. And then
Everyone's favorite.
the rest of the, yeah, indisputable proof of the paranormal. And then it's like, and then I took this picture and we saw a figure in it, and there's either literally nothing there, they're like highlighting it, they're changing the aperture, whatever, they're circling it or whatever, there's nothing there, or it's like very clearly people's reflections, but at a time when like people didn't understand how cameras worked, if that makes sense. And so they just have lived their entire life thinking that they saw a ghost and it was just like themselves in a reflection or whatever. It is the dumbest shit, and I'll just like put it on to like have in the background. So I obviously can't recommend it, but it is like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, and it's
Uh,
hilarious.
I need you to know that the director of this fucking
Oh no.
documentary we're gonna watch, this list thing, has made 42 documentaries about aliens and cryptids since 2007.
Holy shit.
And they're all fucking garbage that he just pulled off YouTube, like videos. So, I'm in. I can't wait.
J. Michael Long. J. Michael,
It's
what are you into, my
somehow he got
guy?
attached to me. I made one of the Megalodon movies, those like shitty
Ah,
shark sci-fi movies, and everything else is just like one of them was just called Aliens and Hippies that I am absolutely gonna watch.
uh, I'm confused about how this is top 10 real monsters and there's like a gargoyle on it. So we'll
I
see
don't know, but it's
what
only
that's like.
52 minutes, so
I'm here
you
for
know
it.
it's
I
you
can't
know it's
wait.
worth it. Uh,
Uh, Thunderbirds.
this is gonna be so shitty.
I love it.
What is America's monsters? American monsters: werewolves, wild men, and sea creatures.
I feel like we're doing too much. Like, pick one thing to make a documentary about. You don't have to like throw them all together.
I think I got a new favorite filmmaker. it's a, right. Somehow he's also got a movie about the American biker on here. This is probably just like another shitty documentary. Oh yeah, what a king!
Yeah, there's like
Uh, I say
no.
that now. I know this
I
is
was
gonna be
gonna.
wildly problematic somehow.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be terrible. I was gonna say there's no like bio, but I almost said there's no mugshot of him.
I feel like this dude has probably got problematic beliefs because he also has a documentary about like the Kennedy assassination. So he's probably like a weird conspiracy guy.
I literally just saw that.
A conspiracy of lies, Flight 370 to 9/11. So you know this dude's on the level.
The Kennedy one, it says that he has visual and factual information that rules out the lone assassination theory.
Yeah, I'm sure he's got some kind of information everyone else doesn't.
Yeah,
This
you know
this
it.
stuff this is gonna rock. This movie's gonna be so bad.
I don't know about a race of giants or forbidden history.
Hell yeah,
I don't know
I'm
about.
in.
All right. Well,
All right, yeah, that'll be next week. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/podcast. If you're part of our Patreon when this episode's out, you can listen to 10 episodes of me watching Rob Zombie movies.
oh yeah.
With a bunch of different I Hope You Suffer regulars. Uh, including Kit, who watched a movie with me because Katie would not. Katie's on the last episode listening to me rant.
I didn't have to do shit.
I don't know, patreon.com/I Hope You Suffer podcast. Go join the Patreon. There's a lot of good stuff on there. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitrification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to other podcasts at AK Movie Club. All right, we're gonna get real mad about a list of cryptids next week.
Excuse me, they're real
Oh,
monsters.
that's right. Yeah, we're watching Real Monsters.
Oh, I wish.
It does not hold up. I've tried. When
I
I
watched.
first got Paramount Plus, that was one of the first things I put on, and I was like, oh god, this is not good.
I thought it was fine.
It was like fucking Are You Afraid of the Dark for me, where I started watching it. I had all of these memories, and I was like, oh, I'm an adult now.
Wow.
Like, Our Real Monster still looks good, but I was like, this is not nearly as funny as I remembered it being.
No, and like one of the things that I realized, I'm not including Are You Afraid of the Dark because I think that it's fine. But one of the things that I've realized is how like little cohesion cartoons
Yeah.
had at the time. Because like I still liked the characters, I like the art style, like I think it's fine, but there just seems to be like no
Yeah,
like
it was just
actual story. It's
like
just
just
them doing random
adventures
stuff.
every episode, as opposed to like something like I don't know, like Adventure Time now, where it's like a eventually like,
Continuous
yeah, it turns
story.
into like one
Yeah.
big story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about conspiracies next week. I
Can't
I
wait.
have a feeling we're gonna find some real problematic shit about this guy after we we fucking watch this movie.
Yeah, I kind of have no doubt.
All right. I hope you fuck a xenomorph, but why?
Oh, I married mine.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I don't know. That's do you think a xenomorph would wear a wedding ring, or do you think they would be like, "Fuck you, I'm putting this shit on a necklace"?
I think that they would wear it around their face mouth.
The inside mouth.
Yeah, I think they would. So then whenever they greeted
They
people,
they
it would be prominent.
they get
They're
a
dedicated, they're
tongue ring on
loyal.
their inside mouth that just says married.
Yeah, I'm with, yeah. It's gonna be like one of those like my wife like
I
t-shirts.
just like the idea of like a xenomorph in one of those shirts. It's like one of those Facebook ones. It's like
Yeah,
don't mess with me. My wife is born in April and owns a
yeah,
gun and
yeah.
is crazy.
Mine's gonna be like, I love my 5'2"
Right.
wife. She has her septum pierced and she's a Taurus, so she'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
That's what it
There you
is.
go.
Yeah, I'm here for that life.
Next I Hope You Suffer shirt's gonna be just the xenomorph. Just the skateboarding one, but it has that shirt on. Badly
a,
photoshopped over it.
a shirt of a xenomorph wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you can't even read it. It's so lame.
that's right.